Hey, I'm Caressa.
Hey, I'm Maddie.
You're not watching the Disney Channel right now.
You're listening to
Dreadfully
Dreadfully
Twisted.
Twisted.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We are back.
We're back, like we
Woo.
said.
We're just a day late, but it's
Yeah.
good because I'm gonna upload this tonight.
Okay.
Or at least try. So I might not edit it.
Yeah.
Just fair warning.
Good cat.
If you hear anything, it's not being taken out.
Yeah. If you hear anything, it's the kittens.
I want to upload it before I go to bed, so I'm just gonna add the music and then just be like,
Bink.
but yeah. So how was your week?
It was good. How
It
was
was good.
yours?
It was good. It felt so long.
It really did. It's also finally February. I feel like January took like literally 10 years to be over.
Yeah, and I'm just like, ugh.
Every other month flies, and then there's January taking its full time.
Like, it's the weather.
Yeah.
It keeps being cold and then warm and then cold and then warm. Just pick 1 degree. Like, pick
Pick 1 degree.
Pick either warm or cold.
Exactly.
Because I don't like today I had my windows open, but yeah, I was doing stuff and I was like, we need to like let the stagnant air out today because it was bad.
Yeah.
But I guess enough about that. So this is part 2 of like the Steven Stayner story. Even though today we're not going to be talking about Steven Stayner, we're going to be talking about Cary Stayner. Yeah, and I did not realize how crazy this was until doing my research because I did like literally like 10 plus hours of research on this because there's just so much to it. So, in part 1, I mentioned Cary Stayner, who is Steven Stayner's older brother, and how there is more to tell about him. So, here we go. Buckle in, and like I said, this gets very insane and very unbelievable. It like I have like no words for some of the things that he has done or said because it's insane.
I like kind of know it's coming, but I don't know the full extent, so I'm nervous.
Yeah,
I know like the gist of it, but I don't know like what'll happen.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be surprised because I was very surprised. So Cary Stayner was born on August 13th, 1961 in Merced, California. He is the first of 5 children. His parents are Delbert Roy Stayner and Kay Stayner. He had 3 sisters and a younger brother, Stephen, which I did say in part 1, but I'm just reiterating it just in case anybody forgot or didn't listen to part 1. But when Cary was 3 years old, he was diagnosed with trichotillomania, which is a disorder that involves recurrent, irresistible urges to pull out body hair. The urges involve pulling out hair from the scalp, eyebrows, and other areas of the body. There are other. Wow. Okay. Yeah. If I talk today, I'm sorry.
Talking is hard.
Talking is hard, and I'm not editing it, so
So deal.
yeah, just deal with it because this is just me. There are many causes for this, but it is related to stress, pressure, and trauma. However, since he was diagnosed at 3, it is unknown what could have been the cause of this, but this is a form of like self-harm. So it's just kind of like shocking that for a 3-year-old to be displaying this behavior already shows that there was something wrong in the house. But I'm not saying like that there was anything else. It's just there's had been something wrong at this point because why would he be doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Which this could lead to social isolation and other psychological manifestations. Cary was put on medication, although the condition
The condition.
I tried to combine condition and continued. So the condition continued to affect him. For Cary, he pulled hair from his head, which caused bald spots. Continued into his high school years. The bald spots made him get severely bullied in school, and which made him always wear a hat. And that's just sad because, like,
that is sad.
Why bully people for that? Like, don't be mean.
Kids are mean.
They are. They're vicious and. However, this part is very shocking. Since the age of 7, remind you, age of 7, Cary stated he would begin to fantasize about abducting, torturing, and murdering women.
Oh, well then.
And also keep in mind, I just want to note this was before Stephen was abducted.
Oh, well then.
Yeah.
That's a little concerning. That's a
Yeah.
lot of concerning.
And then before he was a teenager, so after 7 and before he turned into a teenager, he continued to fantasize about women being, okay, trigger warning, sexual assault. So trigger warning. But he continued to fantasize about women getting gang raped.
Well, that's nice. That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? He said later on that, this part is, he was 7 at this time whenever he said this, but he said this later on in life. He said later on that when he was in a grocery store parking lot in the car with his parents, that he would think about killing and tying up the cashier. He was really young, like 7, whenever he would fantasize about this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get him help.
Yeah, like, but the problem is I don't think he said anything.
Yeah.
So, because this all
know.
didn't come out until later. I'm just going over this now because,
Yeah.
but it didn't come out till later
Mhm.
after everything happened. But whenever I was like researching this, I was like, oh my God, what, like,
I know.
I didn't realize it was this
Yeah.
far. Like, wow. Like, it's even crazier. But, Cary also claimed, another sexual assault trigger warning. Cary had claimed that whenever he was 11, his uncle would molest him. His uncle did get sentenced for this eventually, though. Yeah. Later in his teenage years, he started displaying odd behaviors with women. Out of nowhere, he exposed himself to one of his sister's friends that was staying over.
Oh.
Yeah, and then people said that he was not like this before Stephen's kidnapping. However, like I said, he started fantasizing about this before Stephen was abducted, so you can't blame it on
Exactly.
And then people believe that since Stephen got abducted, it contributed to Cary's sexual deviancy. But like I said, I don't think that could even be related to it.
Yeah. Pretty sure he had a little bit of problems before then, but
yeah. Yeah. As he got older, he started showing more signs of him exposing himself, and it was not a one-time thing. I just burped. I'm not editing that out, so I'm sorry. His friends would say that he's shown, this is in quotes, a compulsion to be very sexual.
get this guy help.
Right?
Okay. There has to be at least a sign that you've seen. Get this guy, get this boy some help, please.
Yeah, and like a compulsion to be very sexual. What does that even mean?
like
he's not being normal.
Definitely not. That's concerning.
And then they also said, but he was unable to show normal characteristics with women, and he would sexually harass women and just be a creep.
Of course.
Yeah. So now we get into the timeline of when Stephen got abducted. If you don't remember, in part 1, Stephen was abducted by a guy named Kenneth Parnell, and he was abducted in 1972 whenever he was walking home from school. Kenneth Parnell had somebody else come up to him asking if his mom would want to do church donations, and then Stephen was like, yeah, she probably would, and then they offered to take him home, but they didn't take him home. They ended up taking him, and Stephen was gone for 7 years, and then he finally returned back. Whenever Kenneth Parnell was abducting another little boy, he brought him home. His name was Timothy White, and then Stephen didn't want Timothy to go through what he went through, so then he escaped with Timothy that night and then took him to the police station whenever he came back home.
They made a statue.
Yeah, they made a statue of him. Cary was 11 when Stephen was abducted, so like I said earlier, the 7-year-old, being a 7-year-old and imagining that stuff, it's before this.
Yeah.
So the impact it made on everyone, including Cary, was catastrophic. Delbert, Cary's father, was distraught after the abduction. He would blame Cary for not looking after his brother and would say, "Oh yes, the one son I really loved."
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, you shouldn't say that to, like, I understand you're grieving,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't say that to your other son
No.
who's probably also grieving. Like,
A little messed up.
yeah. So to Cary, the ages between 11 and 18 when Stephen was missing was lived in the shadow of his brother. Cary would talk about how it affected him, how he felt neglected while his parents grieved over Stephen. He then received the responsibility of having to watch his sisters, like monitor them and make sure they were okay at a young age, which this is an adult responsibility placed on him, and this he was only 11. So that's not like right to put that on the older sibling
Yeah.
to watch. Like, I don't know. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. Cary became an artist in high school due to his cartoon contributions to the school newspaper. He was voted most creative student in his graduating class at 18 in Merced High School. His teachers and classmates said he was really intelligent. One of the triggers. Oh, that scared me. I was like, I guess they were okay getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, where were we? I don't even remember what last thing I said was. Okay, so Cary became an artist in high school due to his cartoon contributions to the school newspaper. He was voted most creative student in his graduating class at 18 in Merced High School. His teachers and classmates said he was really intelligent. One of the triggers to his killing spree later on, spoiler alert, there's Birder. I think I already said that, but
Dun dun dun.
yeah. Was the return of his brother Stephen in 1980. Cary was 18 at this time. Stephen became a hero because he was able to escape and rescue Timothy White, which is also became a huge movie and a book. The whole U.S. was captivated by Stephen's story. Cary was home through all of this. He saw how his parents were sad when Stephen was taken. Then he saw the complete change when Stephen returned. They were so elated all of a sudden after Stephen returned. He essentially watched his brother get all of the attention, which affected him. Cary said, "I felt like my parents there clearly was a number one son in the house, and it was Stephen, and so I was pushed aside and left to fend for myself." There is a video of Stephen with his family in the same house. Everyone was smiling, and there's cameras everywhere. But this is scary. Like this is kind of like,
Yeah.
But in the back of the video, Cary is just standing there with a hat on and no smile on his face, just staring.
Well, that's unsettling.
Yeah.
Very unsettling.
Yeah. Stephen appeared on Good Morning America with his parents. It increased Cary's rage and jealousy. Delbert is seen hugging Stephen, and that is something he never did with Cary. He never showed any emotional affection or any affection towards Cary. So Cary was jealous over that because he was like, why is he getting any attention? Which, I mean, it's understandable because they lost their son for 7 years, but Cary was also known as the brother. He was also only known as the brother of the boy who went missing. Stephen's return only shown Cary, at least this is his viewpoint, that he was just a shadow in the family. And then 9 years later, September 17th, 1989, Stephen was killed at a hit-and-run accident on his motorcycle, and he died on the scene. This sparked another descent into Cary's dark side. In 1990, his uncle was killed, and Cary and him shared a house together. Some people believe that maybe Cary had something to do with it because of the claims of his uncle molesting him. However, no one was charged for the murder of his uncle. They believe at the time he was just killed by a drifter who was in the area. No one ever was identified or convicted of the crime. Cary was questioned about it and was suspected of it, but he said he had nothing to do with it. In 1991, Cary was working at Merced Glass and Mirror Company. He was liked by his coworkers. Everyone said he was friendly and approachable and that you could trust him. This is the crazy part. They said that you could trust him to leave your child with him, though that was just the surface. Below the surface, he was challenged and at war with himself. So they would trust him to leave their kids with him.
Wow.
But you'll see later why. That's insane.
Yeah.
And then in 1991, this is a trigger warning. So I'm sorry. I know you get trigger warning by suicide. But Cary tried to gas himself to death with carbon monoxide after like this part. That was the cat. In 1995, his rage was at the tipping point. This is also crazy. One of his coworkers came across him pounding his fist into a plank of wood, and Cary was saying he felt really anxious, nervous, and scared, and that he felt like killing all of his coworkers.
God, that's terrifying.
He was seen by a psychiatrist but didn't receive any further treatment. They said it looked like it was a one-off situation.
Wow. Smart.
Yeah.
Good idea.
And then in 1995, he was also admitted to a mental institution after having this nervous breakdown, but was released after receiving to get like further treatment, but it just wasn't enough. But just saying it's a one-off.
Yeah, no.
And what he said was he wanted to ram the truck into the workplace, killing everybody there and setting the place on fire.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just gonna excuse it. This was probably a one-time thing. What is wrong with you?
How is that a one-time thing? Like, why would you say you would want to kill anyone?
And why would you automatically assume that it was a one-time thing? Like, what is wrong with you?
Obviously, there's something wrong.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I literally put in my notes, what? In like caps, because that's never a one-off situation. That's never, like, no.
That's literally how I felt learning that Norway, you can only serve 21 years no matter what the crime. I was like,
that's crazy.
I literally put in my notes, like, oh my god, like, what? Like, I still can't even.
And we watched a video about Norway today. Like, this guy, he, like, does, like, food challenges where he eats a lot of food, like, and it was in Norway, and I thought of you whenever I was watching the video. I was like, oh yeah, I thought about that.
It's Norwegian.
So after that, he became more isolated. His parents moved from Merced and was left on his own. His uncle was dead, Stephen was dead, so Cary left the job that he had for a while and decided he wanted to go off the radar and live in the woods. In 1997, he was hired as the handyman at the Cedar Lodge in Yosemite National Park. The Cedar Lodge is a big hotel, 50 plus rooms. It was beautiful and at the edge of Yosemite National Park. A lot of people come and go through there, which this job came with an apartment on the top floor of the lodge. He was a hard worker, honest, fixed things, mechanical, electrical, did housekeeping, brought extra towels, bedding, etc. He ate his lunch and dinner in the hotel restaurant. He was also well known by the staff and people there. At first, everything seemed to be going well. Everyone loved him, which is kind of surprising, I mean. And everyone said that he was the nicest guy. So it seems like he's putting on like a front, I would say. He seemed to fit in with the lifestyle. During this time, he enjoyed hiking in the woods and developed... Okay, this makes me laugh. He liked hiking in the woods and developed a liking for nude sunbathing.
What?
Yeah.
I just picked up a new hobby. What is it? Nude sunbathing? Cricket.
Just imagine, like, why would which now people suspect that he was having issues controlling his sexual desires and that nudism was a way of coping with it. He also enjoyed smoking marijuana. However, I do not think that has any correlation to what inspires. I personally don't think it could be a trigger or linked, but that's just me. The video I watched, they were like blaming it all on that, but
yeah,
I don't see it being the reason. I think there's too many underlying factors here.
Yeah, definitely.
In this time, Cary became obsessed with Bigfoot.
Okay.
Which is a cryptid. Bigfoot is a legend that habits the forest of America's Pacific Northwest. He believed 100% that Bigfoot was real and was obsessed with finding him. But people in a video I watched...
Wait.
Yeah.
I thought you meant... As soon as you said that, I imagined Bigfoot was looking for him.
Yes. Yes, Maddie. Bigfoot was looking for Cary Stayner because he knew he was going to commit murder.
He knew. He knew. He had to find him before the deed was done.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah.
In what world did that make sense in my head? I don't even understand.
Did I say it weird?
No. You were like, and was intent on looking for him, and I just was thinking, like, Bigfoot was intent, and I was like, no, Cary was intent.
I love that. Oh, that was funny. Oh, that's going to be put in a clip.
Definitely.
Okay. But people in a video I watched said Cary was obsessed with Bigfoot because it reminded him of himself, his dark side, and it was what he was. Or maybe Bigfoot was looking for him.
I resonate with Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah, you're gonna have to definitely do that laugh before the next part. Ooh, okay. But by the end of 1998, he was unraveling. In February 1999, it was a slow season for the lodge. There was only a few there were only a few tourists during this season. Carol Yvonne Carrington's son was born April 25th, 1956 in California. She was married to Yen's son. They had one child, Juliana's son, and 3 adopted children. Carol and Jens owned a realtor business in the Stockton area. They were also wow, I'm like struggling. They were hosting a foreign exchange student from Argentina, Silvina Peloso, who was a friend of their daughter Julie's son. People close to the family described Carol as a kind of supermom who held the family together with her nonstop energy. Carol was very active in the Council for Adoptable Children in Humboldt County, which is a charity organization that helped couples become foster or adopt children. Foster parents. That's what I meant. I put become foster or adopt children is what I wrote in my notes. Which is a charity organization that help couples become foster parents or adopt children. Got it right that time. Carol's older sister was mentally challenged, and after being raised, she joined her mother in founding Butler Valley Incorporated, a non-profit group that runs 2 homes for the mentally challenged. Her sister lived in one of them. Carol also served on the county review board for abused and neglected kids, and after her experience, she learned that the children of broken homes get little help as they go through the legal system. So she joined the board of court-appointed special advocates to help oversee the treatment in court. She sounds like a wonderful person.
Yeah.
And this just makes me so sad because she did so much and what she got back was not. And like this is why when researching this case, it was literally devastating to research this, just because like I started crying at one point because I was like, I can't even imagine like being such a great person and then you get what you get.
Yeah.
It's awful. She was an advocate for Tony V, a child who was locked in a cage by his family in Eureka, California. That case made headlines around the USA. I wrote USA, but I mean United States is what I meant to say. I abbreviated because typing this took forever. Because, like I said, I did 10 hours of research and I had to like type this up and I like wrote it down like 5 different times. After Carol gave birth to Juliana in 1983, she decided she didn't want to get pregnant again. Her and Jens decided to adopt. When they went to Argentina for a trip where their friends, the Pelosos, lived, they tried to adopt then. However, the Argentine government halted foreign adoptions. They wouldn't let them. So they adopted their first child, and then when his birth mother had another child, they immediately went out to San Francisco to adopt the second child. And I'm not saying names because I don't want them to, like, you can look it up.
Yeah.
I don't want to say their names because I don't think I need to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you'll see why. But I just don't think I need to because I don't want to put them in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Carol's friend, Aletta Tripp, said she believed that every child deserves a family and every family deserves a child. Just so sad. Aletta began adopting around the same time. Carol just is just so amazing because this next part, she said Carol would organize potlucks and pool parties so that adopted children and parents could meet and socialize with other parents and children.
Aww.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah. No. Carol's other friends have said Carol would spend hours each week volunteering at her kids' schools. When Susan Johnson went to Carol's loan brokerage office in September that year before, 3 months before Christmas, mind you, there were piles of Christmas gifts wrapped for her 4 children and Sylvina. Yeah. And then, so we're going to go into Juliana, Julie's son. She was born September 21st, 1983 in Eureka, California. She was described as a beautiful young woman who always seemed to be smiling. Julie's interests included cheerleading, writing poetry, and playing the piano and violin. Her father, Jens, said that he always saw her as a tomboy and was surprised when she picked up cheerleading in high school. However, she only liked it for the competition anyway. She didn't really like it for anything else. Somebody said, this is a quote, she was always full of energy and was a happy person. Her friend said she was friends with Julie from playing the violin in orchestra. Julie was a spontaneous person. Julie wanted to be an architect when she was older. One of her friends said that she wanted to design her own house and she wanted it to have 2 stories because she never lived in a 2-story house before. Julie joined a temporary campus group to confront issues of rape and violence because, another trigger warning, when she was a freshman, 2 cheerleaders from her high school were raped at knife point behind the junior high school. The 21-year-old who had done it was convicted. Her friend said she was so mad about it. She wanted to help see that it didn't happen. And that's just heartbreaking because what you hear later is just crazy. But then I couldn't find much about Silvina Peloso. But Silvina Peloso was born in 1983 in Argentina. She was an exchange student. Her parents are, I'm so sorry if I butcher these names, but Raquel Peloso and Jose Pepe Peloso, because he liked to be called Pepe instead of Jose. She left for a year in America and was staying with the sons. Silvina had a sister, Paula. The Pelosos were friends with the sons for 3 decades before this. So, on February 12th, 1999, Carol's son, Julie's son, and Silvina Peloso were going on a trip. They stopped in Stockton where Julie had a cheerleading contest at the University of the Pacific. Then they headed to the Cedar Lodge on February 14th, where Cary Stayner worked. They rented a 1999 red Pontiac Grand Prix. They were going to stay at the Cedar Lodge for a few days. They were going to meet Jens in San Francisco after seeing the Grand Canyon after Yosemite. It's Yosemite. Why did I say Yosemite? I knew it was Yosemite. I am so sorry.
Same difference.
Yeah. Jens was unable to attend this trip, and this is heartbreaking. Like, if he was there, probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
But I know he probably blames himself. I'm just saying, like, it's just crazy how things happen. Because one, like, different thing and something can be different. But Jens was unable to attend this trip because he had to prepare for an upcoming business trip. Hold on. I'm going to drink some water. Okay, I'm back.
Scared.
Because this is getting crazy. On February 15th, they all hiked into Yosemite National Park that night. They decided to get some videos from the front desk at the lodge and watch them at their room that night. They were supposed to leave the next day. However, that would be the last time they were ever seen alive again. They were the only occupants in the entire building, which Cary Stayner knew this because he worked there. On this day, Cary had been fantasizing about capturing and torturing 2 young girls.
Oh my god.
Another trigger warning, there's going to be more sexual assault. So, warning. Cary then knocked on their door and said he was the maintenance guy and that there was an issue in the bathroom he needed to fix. Keep in mind, at this time, it was 11 p.m. at this point.
Yeah.
So Carol was very hesitant. Says, hang on a minute. Doesn't open the door. I had a burp. She goes to check the bathroom and comes back and says, doesn't see anything. And then Cary said he has to come in and fix it. And he said he would lose his job if he didn't come in and fix it. He was being very persuasive. which makes Carol open the door.
Carol. No.
Yeah, I mean, he was being very persuasive, and I
Yeah.
can't blame her, but I would just tell him, wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's too late.
Probably just kept going and going.
Although,
So,
at the same time, he was a maintenance guy, so maybe he just had a key anyway.
yeah. Yeah.
So, but as soon as he got into the room, he pulled out his gun, which he would later tell Julie was unloaded. He bound and gagged the three on the room's two beds. He then strangled Carol in the bathroom. He took her body out to the red Pontiac and then returned to the room. He took Sylvina and Julie out, like into out of like the beds, and then he began to sexually assault them, including trying to get them to perform sexual acts on each other. After 6 or 7 hours, that's a long time.
Yeah.
He was frustrated by the girl's lack of cooperation and his own ability to maintain an erection. He then took Peloso into the bathroom and strangled her. He put her body in the trunk with Carol's. Yeah, it gets even.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong with you? He then began to sexually assault and abuse Julie for several more hours. With Cary Stayner's fantasy playing out, he convinced himself that he was actually in a relationship with Julie and believed that she should be cherished.
Terrifying. You have to be you have to be real delusional. What the hell?
Yeah. But it gets even crazier.
Oh no.
Before the sun came up early in the morning, he took Julie out of the lodge, put her in the Pontiac with the bodies of Carol and Sylvina in the trunk. He then drove east out of the park to a reservoir called Lake Don Pedro, which was about 90 miles from Yosemite National Park. It was very remote and a beautiful spot with a view. He then takes Julie out of the passenger seat to the vantage point and puts her down. And this is what doesn't make sense, because he said that he believed that they're in a relationship and that she should be cherished, but what he does next is crazy. He then slices Julie's throat and left her to die on the hillside. At this point, he thought to himself that he has to get rid of the car. Yeah, because that's definitely what you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. He dumped it with the bodies of Carol and Sylvina still in the trunk, then called a cab to take him back to the Cedar Lodge. A taxi driver was a female. Cary then asks her, "Do you believe in Bigfoot?"
Oh my god.
And then she said no, and he says, "Well, you should."
Oh my god.
Cary, your priorities, man, are not right.
No. What is wrong with you, Cary? He really had some problems.
Yeah. When he was dropped back off at the lodge, he acted like nothing happened. He went back to work and also cleaned the room. 2 days went by and no one suspected anything. Carol's husband was not alerted yet because he tried to get a hold of her, but he thought she was just making her way to San Francisco. So he wasn't worried because he was like, oh, maybe she was just driving.
Yeah.
But then Cary was worried that he didn't cover his trail, so he returned to the car a few days later. He brought gasoline and took evidence out of the car and caught it on fire. He also wanted to throw police and the FBI off by taking Carol's wallet, and he took it to Modesto, which is in the opposite direction. Carol, Julie, and Sylvina were reported missing at this point. They were supposed to meet Jens at the airport, and when they didn't show, Jens called the police because they were supposed to meet him there. Okay. 4 days after the wallet was found in Modesto, California, a person picked up the wallet and took it immediately to the police station. Authorities suspected foul play. That changed the case from the missing persons case to a criminal case. So the investigators started focusing on trying to find the car, and since it took place at the national park, there was just so much attention from the media and from the whole entire United States, because Yosemite National Park is like a big park. Yeah. The staff at the Cedar Lodge were questioned, including Cary Stayner. During questioning, Cary seemed calm. However, later on, Cary stated his heart was racing and wasn't calm on the inside. He thought for sure that the FBI would come back and arrest him. But they didn't suspect him at all.
Wow.
Yeah, even though he worked there. A month went by, and Carol, Savina, and Julie's body. Why am I saying this weird? A month went by, and Carol, Savina, Carol. Okay, talk, Carissa, talk.
Talking is hard.
A month
really
went
is.
by. Carol, Sylvina, and Julie's bodies haven't been found yet. The investigators spent a month searching for the three girls. People skiing on mountains, helicopters, and so many methods of searching. Yosemite Park is large. They were searching for the car. So they ended up expanding their search area, and at this point, the FBI comes into play. They had more than 1,000 leads. Family offered money to help find the girls. They offered $250,000 to $300,000. Carol's mom and dad went on Good Morning America to even say hey, bring them back.
Yeah.
We don't care. The case was beginning to get cold until the car was located by a local man who was hunting in the woods. He found the Grand Prix on March 18th. California Highway Patrol verified the license plate. They notified the FBI. Then they opened the trunk. They found Carol's son and Sylvina Peloso were found in the trunk of the car, and the car was burnt to the point their bodies were unrecognizable. They had to identify them with DNA testing. Since Cary killed them 2 days later, then set the car on fire, they had the issue of the bodies starting to decompose and then the effects of the fire. However, a fire like that isn't effective in destroying a body. It was challenged for the forensic investigation. They couldn't analyze them. At this time, Cary was far from being considered prime suspect because he worked there, but there were a lot of people who worked there as well, so they just weren't thinking it was him. Instead, the local police round up a task force. They started bringing in a bunch of suspects, drug dealers and local armed robbers. They arrest any of these profiles within a 75 square mile area between Modesto and Sonoma, California. They got to the point where they said they had the key players arrested and in custody. So they started telling people that they are safe. Because they thought for sure the crime like this had to be committed by a drug dealer or a criminal. Yeah. And then it gets even crazier because Cary starts to be helpful with the investigation.
Oh my God.
He was answering the questions and showing them around the lodge. So he was trying to quote unquote help them.
Of course. Of course he was.
Yeah. And then at this point, Juliana's son's body was still missing. And the next part is very shocking. 5 weeks after the murders, a map showing where Julie's body was arrived at the FBI's office in Modesto. It included a chilling message. We had fun with this one.
Wow.
Yeah.
U.S.
Yeah. Yeah. The map of Lake Don Pedro, just east of Modesto, arrived at the FBI's office in this letter. And it was opened by Special Agent Anthony Alston. It showed a trail from Highway 120 to an X scrawled along the lake's shore and led investigators the following day to Julie's son's nude body. Investigators brought a cadaver dog in the area and quickly found Julie. Her body had been hidden beneath the brush, her hair splayed out behind her, and her ankles covered with black duct tape, suggesting that they had been bound, which makes sense because he said, he did that to the beds. Her throat had been slashed. When the facts of the condition of Julie's body came out to the public media, there was a shockwave of fear because everybody thought that they had the person in custody, but they're still worried. However, Cary was not done yet. The FBI was still convinced that they had the right person in custody and just needed to gather more evidence. Although they really thought those criminals were responsible, but that was not the case at all. 2 months go by and no one came to arrest Cary, and he was not even thought of to be the killer. However, he was a ticking time bomb to kill again. On July 21st, 1999, Cary found his next target, Joy Armstrong. Joy Ruth Armstrong was born December 20th, 1972 in California. She was a park nature worker. She loved being out in nature, which reflected in her face. She had a big smile. Her mother said Joy was so happy to have this position, was so happy to live in the most beautiful places in the world. She was a bright light to all who knew her, full of laughter, creativity, and spunk. I was supposed to say spunk. But I said punk. I meant spunk. I'm so sorry. She had a huge enthusiasm for life and a deep drive to give herself for the betterment of the world. She was an environmental science educator for Yosemite Institute. Sucks because all these people were so great.
I know, it's so sad.
On July 21st, 1999, Cary was watching Joy unload her car outside of the cabin in the forest where she and fellow park workers stayed, which is a 13-minute drive from the lodge. Cary went to this location often because he said he had seen Bigfoot there.
I can't. Can't.
He's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I see Bigfoot here all the time. He's my buddy. We hang out.
Because Bigfoot was looking for him too.
Yeah.
This is so frustrating. This is so frustrating. I didn't realize how bad of a person Cary was until I started.
Yeah.
What was I said, which is he realized. Okay. And once he realized she was alone, something in him ignited. Joy was packing her car to go hiking with her friends in Yosemite Valley. Cary went up to Joy with his gun, forced her inside the house, put duct tape around her mouth and hands, and got her into the car. And this is a quote from him. He said, "It seemed like she was alone. I had a backpack, small green backpack. In the backpack, I had a .22 revolver." Stayner is heard saying in the audio recording of his confession, "She stepped up on the porch and she was talking to me and she turned. That's when I pulled out the gun and put it to her head. She was turned around and freaked out." I hear sirens.
Yeah, me too.
What's going
Oh, God.
on? However, even though he got her into the car, she was able to escape from the car. She tried running, but the duct tape made it impossible for her to outrun him. So Cary parked his car, got out and tackled her, which this infuriated him, lose his temper. And then this next part is just, Cary cut her throat so violently that he decapitates her.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's just like sucks me too. Like, it's just to be in her situation. Imagine how scary that had to have been. I really hear sirens.
Me too.
I don't know what's going on.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Start research. So to cover.
Oh
I hope
God,
not.
I hope not. And then this part is also, later he told the FBI that there was so much blood on her head that he couldn't even see her face. Joy's friends called police when she didn't show up to meet them as planned. When Armstrong's friends went to her cabin, which was in the area of the park called Foresta, they found signs of struggle. They began searching the area. Eventually, investigators found Joy's body near a stream in the woods about a half-mile away from the cabin. In the water, several feet away, they discovered her head, which officials said had been removed from her body. When they found Joy's body, it showed the FBI that the people they had in custody were in fact innocent and the killer was still out there, which this reignited the case and took it to a whole new level. In 1979, International Scout was seen parked near the scene of the crime. 2 park rangers found Cary Stayner sunbathing naked, which he would do often in this spot. They talked to him, took his backpack, and let him go.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
FBI talked to him again at the lodge, where they asked him questions, took pictures of his tires to match the tracks, but ultimately they let him free again.
Oh my God. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you? Like, if you just caught him in the first place.
Seriously.
The next day, they matched his tire tracks and went back to the lodge to arrest him. However, at this point, Cary was gone, so they put an APB on him. Cary returned to the lodge and tried to quickly sell his belongings before he packed up and left. Later arriving at the nudist colony in Laguna del Sol, where he began living in a tent.
Oh. Now he just needs Bigfoot there with him. And
just imagine if Bigfoot just walks up and is like, "Hey, buddy."
Like, we go nude sunbathing together, me and my buddy Bigfoot.
No, like, you saying that gives me an idea. Like, what if he knew, like, sunbathed nude because he thought that it would bring Bigfoot?
Bigfoot bait.
He's like, "I'm just like him now." Oh my. Okay. Through the media, authorities alerted the police to be on the lookout for Stayner. At the bar in the colony. Okay, this next part is kind of funny. At the bar in the colony, Cary struck up a conversation with someone who had seen the bolo for Stayner. She called the FBI to alert them of his location. Then Jeff Rennick and John Bowles, the FBI agents, responded to the call at Laguana del Sol. The manager comes out and said, "Yeah, he's sitting inside in a corner booth. You'll be able to find him because he's the only one wearing clothes." um the FBI agents decided to bring Stayner in for questioning. They said he was cooperative and agreed to talk with them. Stayner surprised them by saying he would give them closure on what happened to Joy Armstrong and more, but in exchange he asked to see child pornography.
Oh my god.
And then this is a quote: "Who would go into the FBI office and ask two FBI agents to see child pornography? That is not your everyday request." And he said, "Not just a couple, 3 to 4 images," said Bowles. It is believed that he knew he was going to be caught and that he was happy to get caught. However, this next part is crazy. When Cary was arrested, a reporter, Ted Rollins, got a call that someone was in custody for the murders. So Ted went to the jail and asked to speak with Cary. However, he did not want to. So Ted kept asking and asking and asking, and Cary kept saying no. But his persistence finally paid off because after asking so many times, Cary finally agreed to speak with him. They talked at the glass on the phone face to face. Cary coldly admitted to the 4 murders. He was rigid and clinical and had no emotion while talking and was detached. This is insane. The first thing Cary said to Ted was, "I want you to contact Hollywood producers, and I would like to make a movie of the week made about my story."
Wow.
Just like Steven Stayner had whenever he came back after he was abducted, because he had a story, like a movie of the week made about him and a book. But Cary wanted the same thing as his brother, even though he does not deserve it.
Exactly.
He also confessed to Ted before confessing to the police. Yeah.
Nice.
He admitted to the murders but left out key information about them. He even lied about some of it. He told them he didn't physically assault or torture any of his victims. Ted asked Cary if he wanted to say any words to the victims' families, and Cary said that he would like to tell them that he's sorry that their loved ones were where they were when they were.
Wow. Just shows you what kind of person he is.
Yeah, like it's insane. He essentially was trying to make himself look like a hero because he resisted these urges for 30 years. He had them since age 7. He said he couldn't resist the urge to kill anymore. And then I guess there also was suspected victims.
Yeah.
After he got arrested, there was 28-year-old Patricia Marie Patty Hicks Dahlstrom. Last contacted her family in September 1982 after relocating to Merced, California. There was his uncle that he was suspected of killing. In October 1994, severed human hands were found near the New Melones Reservoir. So they suspected him of that too, but he never was convicted of this. And then there was a 20-year-old Michael Larry Mike Madden planned to meet his friends, but he didn't show up. So they also suspected him of that too. But at the trial, a thumbprint lifted from the stamp to use to mail the map matched that of Stayner, a one-time handyman. FBI expert Jacob Holmes testified at the trial. The map and letter was opened by Special Agent Anthony Alston. He also testified that he neglected gloves while handling it. Which, wouldn't you want to wear gloves while you're doing that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it was crazy. It was a considerable wound, Hopkins told the court about Julie's murder. Cary was tried in federal court for Armstrong's murder since it occurred on federal land because it occurred at Yosemite National Park. To avoid a possible death sentence, he pleaded guilty to premeditated first-degree murder, felony first-degree murder, kidnapping resulting in death, and attempted aggravated sexual abuse results in the death. During the sentencing hearing, Stayner stunned the courtroom when he suddenly broke down in tears and apologized. "I wish I could take it back, but I can't," he said. "I wish I could tell you why I did such a thing, but I don't even know myself. I'm so sorry. I wish there was a reason, but there isn't. It's senseless." Yeah, okay, cry about it now that you got caught.
Yeah, seriously.
Nobody's feeling bad for you.
No.
Because what is wrong with you?
You didn't even feel bad until this point, so.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't, like, ugh.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah. What is wrong with you? Leslie Armstrong, Armstrong's mother, started crying as she listened to Stayner and said afterward that she believed his apology was genuine. No, I'm sorry, but
No.
it wasn't. It was not.
Definitely not.
Stayner was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Stayner pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity to the other murders in state court. His lawyers claimed that Stayner's family had such a history of sexual abuse and mental illness, manifesting itself not only in the murders but also his obsessive-compulsive disorder and his request to be provided with child pornography in return for his confession. Dr. Jose Arturo Silva testified that Stayner had OCD, mild autism, and paraphilia. I'm sorry, but that's not.
No. Not an excuse.
That's not an excuse. Yeah. Cary was convicted of 4 counts of first-degree murder and additional felonies and was sentenced to death in 2001. He is still awaiting the death penalty, and there are appeals pending. However, while I was researching, I found this next part out, and it's crazy.
Oh, God. Just when you think it can't get crazier, it gets crazier. It's one of those.
Yeah. California Governor Gavin Newsom recently announced that the state's most infamous death row will be shuttered, transforming San Quentin State Prison into a restorative justice facility over the next few years. $20 million plan will change the prison's name to San Quentin Rehabilitation Center, and Newsom said by 2025, a panel of civilian experts, former inmates, and crime victims will help advertise the facility's changes. We want to be the preeminent restorative justice facility in the world. That's the goal. As part of the shift, more than 500 inmates who currently live on San Quentin's death row will be moved to various prisons throughout the state. Newsom imposed a definite, I don't know what that word is, on the death penalty in 2019. Prisoners sentenced to death are not eligible for parole. It is not clear yet when the timeline is for their moves, but some of California's most notorious killers will likely be relocated over the next few years, and that includes Cary Stayner. So he's going to be moved and Quentin to a rehabilitation center that they're transforming this prison into. Why? Like, he's on death row. Just let him die. Like,
literally.
He killed 4 people. I don't like this guy.
No, me
I hate
either.
him. Makes me so angry. And then this is insane. The weekend before the February 1999 murders outside Yosemite, his murderous fantasies had become so intense that he prepared a murder rape kit containing a rope, a roll of duct tape, a serrated kitchen knife, and later a gun and a camera. He made a kit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course he did. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Now put the cherry on top.
It's even more.
Oh, God.
In the tapes of his confession, Stayner describes how he planned to rape and kill his girlfriend and her 2 young daughters a year before the Cedar Lodge murders of the sons and Peloso. He chickened out, he told authorities, because a male caretaker was on the girlfriend's 10-acre property. Then I saw a video. I'm not going to say one of the children. She was just 10 or 11 years old when her mother began a relationship with Cary Stayner. Her mother was a waitress at the California Lodge in 1998, and Stayner lived in the apartment above the restaurant. She said that at the time, Cary Stayner, in his 30s and handsome, appeared safe to her and her mother and younger sister. He brought the girls illustrations he'd drawn himself and bought them a new Beanie Baby, a popular toy in the 90s. Each time he seen them, she said. She also was asked that an ABC News withhold her last name, said he also taught the 2 how to dive. He would show us how to point your toes and put your arms out like forward and dive perfectly into the pool. My sister and I both wanted to be best at it. It feels like it was so long ago that you forget what happens and feels like it was almost a dream or a movie that you watched. Though the dream ended for her in 1999 when she learned from the authorities that Cary Stayner was not only responsible for the brutal killings of 4 women in and near Yosemite that terrified residents and tourists, but that he also tried 3 separate times to kill her and her family. It's very disturbing. I see 2 little girls, very innocent, very pure, and very much so loving towards this man that wanted to do some horrible things to us, she said. He was right under everybody's nose the entire time he was right there. Yeah. And then for a while, according to the tape, he stalked 4 young girls staying at the Cedar Lodge, but backed off again because they were accompanied by an adult male. Yeah.
I have no words.
Yeah, it's but we're going to end on a more positive note, I guess. Because we're going to talk about the victims' families and how they move forward. Yen's son has been on talk shows. He had pictures. His picture appeared in newspapers throughout the country. Learned how to handle things and handle the media, dealt with law enforcement, and accepted the condolences of strangers. He said, I was told by people, change once they are in the spotlight, and it could be addicting. I didn't want that. I didn't do anything great. Through it all, the son has tried to lead a normal life, normal that is for a man who lost his wife and his child. I went through the motions of trying to do the best I could. He said like after everything happened, it was the first time he had spoken to the press at this time. Son had quickly returned to the work after the tragedy and now believes that he shouldn't have. He remarried and he raised 3 children he and Carol adopted, built a new house for his family, and shuttles between his daughter's basketball games across Northern California and courtroom in San Jose where the alleged killer was on trial. This was all at the time, because this was like right after. I couldn't find anything from now.
Yeah.
But this was like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
So he also kept in touch with Francis and Carol Carrington, Carol's parents. Carol and Jens were married for 21 years, and Jens began hanging around the Carringtons' home when he was 17. I was told things would change when I remarried, he said. I still see the Carringtons and their relationship hasn't changed much. Son said that he had done a good job moving forward, but there are challenges. 4 months after the death of his wife and daughter, the 2 oldest children were scheduled to take a school trip with Washington, D.C. His first reaction was, no, you can't go. But he soon realized he couldn't stop life from going on. It was hard to put them on the bus to the airport, son. I told the chaperone maybe too strongly to keep an eye on them. He said his children still faced with difficulties. It's not something they get through, but they are coping well. But I don't know like how they're doing now, but this was in 2002, but it seemed like they were doing okay. So that's all you can really ask for. Pepe Peloso, Silvina Peloso's father, and this is heartbreaking, says his only remaining daughter has kept him from killing Cary Stayner, the handyman on trial in the murder of Peloso and her friend Carol and Julie's son. I could do justice on my own. I know I could do it, Jose Peloso said the week outside of Santa Clara County Hall of Justice whenever the trial was happening. Throughout the trial, I thought I've had more than 10 opportunities to kill him. My other daughters, he said, that's the only thing that keeps me from it. I would have killed him. That's the only thing I would just tear him up. And then in honor of Joyce Armstrong's murder, they formed the Armstrong Scholars Program. The program is each year 13 girls aged 15 to 18 are selected to participate in the empowering summer backpack adventure in High Sierra of Yosemite National Park. The program inspires young women to reach their highest potential, develop a stronger sense of self and community, and explore their personal connection to. So, I mean, at least there was something good came out of it. Kinda. I mean, it's a scholarship program, but you have to keep their memory.
That's had to happen for.
Yeah, because they all were just amazing people.
Yeah.
It's just, it sucks, and I hate Cary Stayner.
Me too. For you.
I hate him. Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Give him the finger.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just kept getting crazier and crazier because they could have caught him in the beginning, and then like it would have been stopped at that point.
I know.
But they're like, no, we have the right person. We have the right person.
It was just a one-time thing. He's just going through a phase. What is wrong with you? No, he wasn't.
No, it's not just a phase.
That was not just a phase.
And like the fact that he was trying so hard to make what I think is he was trying to make something of himself, quote unquote, so that he would be on the same level as his brother, Steven.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but murder's not
and
the
then
same.
he wanted a movie like his brother. He's like, make me a movie for killing these people.
Yeah.
No.
No, you don't deserve it.
You
And,
don't deserve it.
After I researched this, I was like, oh, I shouldn't even cover this because like just giving him attention. But
I know.
that's why I try to focus it on the
Mhm.
victims because it's their story,
Yeah.
not his.
Yeah, exactly.
Because he's a POS.
Exactly, he is.
I hate him. But yeah.
I hate a lot of people.
Yeah. What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you?
Like, there was obviously something wrong with him his whole entire life, and he just never got help, which is sad. Like, feel bad for the kid, but don't feel bad for the guy who murdered four women.
Exactly.
Especially, I didn't say this, Julie was 15 at the time, and Sylvina was 16 at the time.
Oh.
So, they were still very young.
Yeah.
It does.
Not like it was good before, but
But
definitely
it makes it worse because, like,
yeah.
and, like, the fact that people, like, trusted him with their kids.
Yeah, exactly.
And then whenever he got arrested, he was like, oh, I want child pornography.
He would act all nice and stuff, like.
Yeah, like
Like
he would put, like, on a front,
yeah.
and you're just like, what is wrong with you?
And, like, they would say yes. They'd be like, oh, sure, we'll give you some child pornography.
Yeah,
for
like,
it.
you're gonna ask the FBI that?
Like, what is wrong with you?
I hate him so much.
Same.
And, like, him saying, like, oh, I'm sorry that your loved ones were where they were when they were. Like, you don't have any remorse.
No. At least he has Bigfoot as a friend. Probably the
Yeah.
only one he's ever
Yeah,
gonna
I know.
have.
I wonder if he's like, oh man, I wish I could have caught Bigfoot instead. Like, maybe you should just focus on Bigfoot and not kill people.
Yeah, seriously. Maybe you should have been worrying about
'Cause guess
finding
what?
Bigfoot.
You're on the death row,
Exactly.
and you're never gonna find Bigfoot.
Exactly.
Even if
Except
he
for in
is
your
real.
mind, because you're crazy. Might see some visions of him while he's in jail.
Maybe I don't know. This story, or not story, but this case
Yeah.
infuriated me because I was just like, what is wrong with you? Like, the whole time, and like while I was researching, I was just like, oh my god. I kept saying, oh my god. And I was like, terrible person.
I think next week I'm gonna cover one that
Oh,
I'm trying to like.
I think I know.
Do you?
The Valentine's Day Massacre.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see.
We should talk about that. Are we recording on Friday, or are we gonna go to? Would Friday be okay?
Yeah, we could do Friday.
Okay. Because I was gonna upload this tonight, so this technically counts for last week.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, we could do that.
for yesterday, because today's Sunday. I just wasn't sure. I want to do Friday.
And then we can watch.
Yeah, we can watch the movie. There was some media adaptations about this, but I was not going to cover them
Yeah.
because he doesn't deserve it.
Exactly.
And he's 62 now. So,
He still hasn't found Bigfoot.
no.
Good.
And he won't,
Exactly.
because, yeah, he doesn't deserve to.
He never gonna get to. He never gonna get the privilege to meet Bigfoot.
Because he's a crappy person.
Exactly.
And I'm sorry. Cary? Actually, sorry, not sorry, but Steven was better.
Exactly.
Steven Stayner was a hero, and you're just a serial killer. And we don't care about you.
We know.
We only care about your victims.
Exactly.
And
Because they were
your
good
brother.
people, not you.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess this is where we end. So everybody, spread positivity.
Check on your friends. Be nice. You know,
Be kind.
you can find Bigfoot. Just don't be crazy about it.
Yeah, go look for Bigfoot, but don't kill people because of it. And
don't get too close in case.
yeah, because you don't know what he's capable
exactly. He might snag you up or something. We don't want that.
of. Or maybe he's the nicest guy ever. You never know.
Exactly.
But just be careful.
Yeah, just be careful.
And don't be like Cary Stayner.
Yeah.
Be more like Carol, Julie, Sylvina, and Joy,
Yes.
because they were amazing people, and I am so sorry to their families, and they deserved so much more than what they got. But be more like them because they were amazing people.
Yes. Exactly.
And that's where we're going to end. See you next week.
See you next week. We love you.
We love you.
Bye.
Bye.